Good afternoon once again. This is Konstantin from ApprovalMax speaking. And you're very welcome to ApprovalMax webinar. And we'll talk today about ApprovalMax for Xero. Our today's webinar. We'll start with a brief theoretical introduction into what is ApprovalMax for Xero and which workflows do we cover and how do we generally help our clients. And then we'll have a demonstration part, of course. We will take a look at the product and we'll specifically pay attention to one of our recent updates, which is, well, let me announce it right away, integration with Receipt Bank. That's quite a nice thing. So we will speak about how it looks like and how it works. So that's the plan. And well, let's get started. First of all, a couple of words about ApprovalMax itself. We have started in the Xero ecosystem in January 2016. So we are almost 5 years old. So in January, we'll have kind of anniversary. And we are on the preferred partner level with Xero, and we're very proud to be on the preferred partner level. And one thing that I would like to mention here besides that is that we are a proud winner of a Partner of the Year award in the UK in 2020. And yeah, that's very interesting for us. And well, what we do from the product. The core thing that we do is multi-role, multi-tiered approval workflows for different types of financial documents. For purchase orders, bills, credit notes, sales invoices, and other types of the documents. And also we have some additional functions like matching of bills to purchase orders, and this is also quite a handy functionality. ApprovalMax focuses a lot on security and on plans. Let me highlight this thing a little bit. So first of all, those approvers that are authorizing bills and orders, ApprovalMax would need to access to Xero. They're doing they are notifications in ApprovalMax. They are approve or reject button, and they don't need to have access to the core GL system, right? Which is very important. And well, actually, I'm receiving some feedback that the internet connection is not very good. So let me try to fix that. One sec. Sorry about this interruption. Okay, I can. I hope that this internet problem is gone now. Sorry about this problem. So yeah, as I was saying, those approvers who authorize bills and purchase orders, they don't need to have access to the accounting system, which is very good in terms of security. Another thing is that we create so-called audit report for each bill and purchase order that has been authorized in ApprovalMax. And it means that when it comes to the audit process, auditor can see this PDF file and they can see that this particular bill and this particular purchase order has been properly authorized by all the approvers. Another aspect is fraud detection and prevention. And we see that there are some typical situations that might be considered a fraud. And we have some features, some means by which we are preventing this fraud and well, notifying administrators of such events. Another thing is exception handling. So we have a number of special features to handle some typical situations that could lead to some problems potentially, right? So for example, if someone is currently not available for a week or for a couple of weeks, say going on vacation, then it is possible to define an out of office setting, and all those bills and purchase orders that would typically go to this person, they would go to another person who is approving bills and purchase orders on behalf of the original approver. Another thing is single sign-on. We have SSO with Xero and with Google, and it means that those people who do have access to Xero, they could access ApprovalMax without having a separate set of credentials. So what they're doing, they're just clicking this magical sign in with Xero button when they're going to ApprovalMax, and they access ApprovalMax right away without any additional login procedures. Let me put it this way. And for those approvers who do not have access to Xero, we have Google SSO. So if your company is using Google services, which are quite good, then approvers could be accessing ApprovalMax without, once again, having separate set of credentials. And finally, two-factor authentication. That's a brand new feature that is currently going through some final testing stages. And well, it's actually already available as a beta. And once these final things are completed, then it will be possible for us to enable it for everyone. Two-factor authentication is critical for security. It means that all the approvers who are going into ApprovalMax, they will be confirming their identity with a second factor with a mobile phone, actually. So that's an industry standard, to be honest. Who benefits from ApprovalMax? There are two types of organizations and two types of use cases where ApprovalMax is quite beneficial. First of all, ApprovalMax is beneficial for internal accounting teams. And for these teams, we provide a solution that allows to eliminate paper-based approvals or email-based approvals or Excel-based approvals, right? It means that approvers, they don't need to sign anything physically, right? They don't get this piece of paper that they need to sign. They are getting a notification, they're clicking approve, and this bill or purchase order is now authorized. For accounting and bookkeeping practices, accounting and advisory practices, the use case is a little bit different. And the use case here is that with ApprovalMax, these practices can provide outsourcing services for accounting and bookkeeping. With ApprovalMax, such companies as BDO, Mazars, Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, as well as actually smaller accounting and bookkeeping practices, can define an authorization workflow involving managers on the client side. So how does it work? Imagine you are managing this practice for one of such accounting and advisory practices, and you define a workflow according to which bills and purchase orders they are sent to your client, to particular managers on the client side automatically. And it means that for each bill and purchase order, you are getting a clear confirmation that this bill has been approved by someone on the client side. That is very important because this way you can be sure that you are not paying a bill that should not be paid because it's a fraud bill or it's a duplicate bill or goods have not been delivered or services are not good enough. So such cases could be handled. Industry-wise, we are covering very different industries, and we have customers from all the possible industries, I think already, from agriculture, construction, hospitality, non-for-profits, technical startups, etc. And for all these types of companies, what we provide is, first of all, financial controls and these remote approvals, right? And it is, by the way, especially important right now when we are in this work from home times, and all the approvers, most of the approvers, they are sitting at home and they could be authorizing bills and purchase orders right from home. One important use case I would like to emphasize here is the case of multiple legal entities. In this case, we see that some of our clients, they actually have not just one entity, not just one company that they want to have approvals for, but they have lots of companies. A typical situation is actually in the energy sector, where there are different, say, solar plants, and the solar plants, they are all configured as independent entities. And the way how it works is that you connect ApprovalMax to each of these entities, and you define standard workflow rules, standard approval rules across all these entities, right? And then it makes a very transparent solution for you because you know exactly what is happening in all the entities. At the same time, approvers, they do not need to relog in. It's not like they're logging into one entity, then to another one. They just have single login, and they see bills and purchase orders across all these entities in the same user interface. So they're just going through this decision required list. They click approve, sometimes reject, and get bills and purchase orders authorized. Let me talk a little bit about how ApprovalMax fits into the overall spend control application stack. As you know, for Xero, It is very important that in the Xero ecosystem, it's very important that there are different applications actually that are taking care of different parts of the organization in the financial state, in the financial sense. For example, there are very useful tools that are called data entry tools or data digitization tools or sometimes OCR tools. And these tools allow to save quite some time, because using these tools, you can just send a PDF file or an image of an invoice. These tools extract the data from the tool, from the invoice and push it to Xero, to the accounting system. And you don't need to do it manually. That's very nice. And a standard question that we're getting here is, well, how does it work with ApprovalMax? And the short answer is, then I will have a long answer. The short answer is it works perfectly fine. These tools are taking care of their part of the job. They extract the data, they push it to the next step, to the GL system, or to ApprovalMax directly. And then ApprovalMax is taking care of approval. And then approval document is ending up in the GL itself. And we see that there are kind of two ways of how overall spend control could be organized. It could be more of a reactive spend control when you're working with just incoming bills. It means that, well, you receive a bill, you take a look at the bill and see, well, this bill is good and it should be authorized. That is kind of basic step, a very important one. And then there is opportunity to improve here, because you could be actually you could control some expenses from happening in the very beginning, even before supplier is getting a notification from you. So even before the commitment is made to the supplier. This is done with purchase orders. So instead of just approving incoming bills, which basically means that goods likely have been already delivered and services likely have been already provided, you could just stop something from happening in the very beginning, just rejecting the purchase order and saying we shouldn't be doing this thing at all, right? And it is important that in ApprovalMax you can actually match bills to purchase orders. This way, making sure that these bills that you are looking at, that you receive, they are actually related to those purchase orders that have been approved before that. So finally, let us take a look at how it all works in a kind of a flow, and then we'll be switching to the demo part. Well, how it works. Our classic solution that is currently being used by most of our clients is that data entry tools, same as pre-accounting tools, same as OCR tools, same as data entry tools, it's all kind of the same. They are taking care of data extraction. They're doing a perfect job. They extract the data from a supplier invoice, they push the data to Xero, and then it's time for this bill to be authorized. ApprovalMax goes to Xero and picks up all those bills that are in awaiting approval status in Xero. By the way, you can see this workflow in terms of Xero tabs. So if you go to Xero into bills to pay area, you will see there different tabs: drafts, awaiting approval, awaiting payment, paid, and recurring bills. And what ApprovalMax does is we're picking up bills from awaiting approval tab. We handle the approval part. Once the bill is fully approved, we go back to Xero and mark particular bill as fully authorized. That is our classic solution. And well, let me now talk about our brand new solution that has been released just last week in the essence. And this solution is all about direct integration with Receipt Bank. With this solution, you can connect Receipt Bank to ApprovalMax directly and have a more clear workflow in the essence. Because, well, let us compare it once again to the classic solution. In the classic solution, documents are first going to Xero, then to ApprovalMax, then back to Xero. With the new solution that you currently see on the screen, Receipt Bank is pushing documents directly to ApprovalMax. We take care of the approval, and once a document is fully approved, we push it to Xero. That's how it works. And there are a couple of very important benefits associated with integration. Well, first of all, it's very clear in terms of the workflow. The second thing is that if a bill is rejected, in this case, it is not stuck in Xero because it was not in Xero in the first place. So in case in ApprovalMax, some of the approvers are saying, well, that's not what we should be paying for, then it is staying in ApprovalMax, but not getting into Xero, and you're not getting a long list of draft bills in Xero that will never be approved. And another benefit is that with this solution, we can now handle paid bills. That is very important. We see that oftentimes those bills that are already paid anyway better go through the approval process, just to make sure then that when it comes to the audit and when it comes to sorting out what happened in this particular case, each bill is properly authorized by certain managers, even though it has been already paid before the approval process. And with this direct integration, this case is perfectly handled, because when a receipt bank is pushing data into ApprovalMax, it is also pushing this payment information. Well, of course, provided that a person who is working in the receipt bank, they tick this checkbox saying, well, this bill is paid. They select a payment account, bank account, and this information will be available in ApprovalMax. So approvers, they will see this particular bill is already paid. And this is very useful, because let's assume that they have two bills that are identical, and one of them is already paid. Well, very likely it means that the second one is a duplicate that should be just rejected, and the one that is already paid is kind of winning in this sense and should be authorized. So this is bill automation workflow, and let us now take a look at purchase order automation workflow. As I mentioned, it is all about proactive spend control, where we control some expenses even before the commitment is made to the supplier. Purchase orders are created in ApprovalMax, and there are two important things here. The first one is that requesters, those people who raise purchase orders, they do not need to have access to Xero at all, as well as approvers, of course. And the second thing is that requesters can be restricted in terms of which type of data they should be able to select when raising the purchase order, in terms of which suppliers they should be able to purchase from, which GL codes they should be able to select, which tracking categories they should be able to select. Imagine there is a manager who works for the marketing department, and you have marketing defined as tracking category. Well, very likely it makes sense to define a restriction, saying that first of all, tracking category is mandatory. That's another nice feature. And the second thing is that this particular person should be able only to select marketing as a tracking category, because they work in marketing. Why should they be buying something for some other department, right? And how approvers work in ApprovalMax. Approvers are notified with email notifications, and we see that most of the approvers, well, they are busy managers, to be honest, and they do not like the situation when they need to remember that once a week, once a couple of weeks, they need to go somewhere, find bills that they need to authorize and approve them there. ApprovalMax allows to address this need, and ApprovalMax is sending email notification each time when there is a bill that requires an approval. So that's how notification looks like. It is sent to the approver, and approver can see, well, what is exactly what exactly needs to be approved: supplier, line items, date, due date, and all such details. They can just click approve button in the email notification, and this way the bill will be, or a purchase order will be approved right away. And finally, we have mobile apps for both Android and iPhone platforms. And it means that approvers could be authorizing documents on the go, right? They could just receive a push notification, and that looks like, well, pretty much as any other push notification, like when you receive an email on the mobile, or you receive notification, I don't know, from Facebook, for example. You just click on this notification, you see the details of a particular bill or purchase order, and you click approve. That's how it works on the mobile. And well, let us now switch to the application itself. Let me do the magical screen sharing thing. Just 1 second. And here it is. You should be able to see my screen now. So this is ApprovalMax, and we are currently interested in two areas of ApprovalMax. The first one is configuration part, and the second one is approvers part, so how they authorize bills and purchase orders. Let us start with the admin part. I'm opening this navigation menu now, and here in the navigation menu, you see those organizations that are created in my ApprovalMax account. there are two of them. As you can tell by the name, they are both demo companies, and we're currently interested in this particular company because it is connected to Xero. And that is, by the way, a good point to talk about. So in ApprovalMax, there could be multiple organizations, and each of these organizations is connected to a separate Xero file. You could have any number of these organizations. And back to this multi-entity case that I have mentioned, if you have, say, 30, 50, or 100 organizations, you will see them all there. But approvers at the same time, they do not need to switch. They see all the bills and POs in one place. So let me go to approval workflows area of this particular organization and see how it looks like. On the left-hand side of the screen, you see those workflows that we cover in connection to Xero. And these are 3 workflows on the accounts payable side: purchase orders, bills, and credit notes. 2 workflows on the accounts receivable side: sales invoices and, well, AR credit notes. Let us take a look at bill workflow. That's how it looks like. What is important to learn about approval workflow? First of all, it is a multi-step thing. It means that it all starts with getting a bill, and there are actually 3 ways of how bill could be created in ApprovalMax. First of all, it could be picked up from Xero. That's our classic solution that we have discussed. And, well, it's easy to create a bill in Xero. You just go to Xero, go to bills to pay, create a bill. Once it is submitted for approval, it will end up in ApprovalMax. The second option is to create a bill in ApprovalMax. And there are certain benefits behind this option, because you can actually restrict requesters, and requesters will be notified about bill approvals. So it's also quite a handy thing. And the third option is that you can actually create a bill in Receipt Bank. You can actually just email a bill to a particular email address. Receipt Bank will do their job. They will extract all the data, and then they will push this data into ApprovalMax directly. Right? That's how it works. Once the bill is in ApprovalMax, it starts going for a multi-step authorization workflow, and it is completely up to you how to define this workflow. In the essence, it should be reflecting the needs of this particular business. It depends on the organization structure. It could be a region-based structure where you have different regions, and, well, since you have different regions, very likely they should be authorizing bills related to their regions. Or it could be a structure based on departments or based on geo, something like this. And you could have multiple steps, like, for example, first bills need to go to the region manager for approval. Then, after they are reviewed by region managers, they could go to chief financial officer. And finally, they could go to chief executive officer, right? Or you could actually have 2 steps instead of 3, or just 1, or 5 steps. It is completely up to you. And another important thing is that in each step, there is so-called approval matrix. Approval matrix allows you to define rules according to which bills will be routed to different people based exactly on these rules. For example, in this case, I have defined a rule based on different criteria, just to illustrate how flexible ApprovalMax is here. Approver 1 will be involved into approval of bills in 3 different separate situations. The first one is if a bill exceeds 5,000 and it is related to East Side region. The second case, if a bill is related to Bank West, it is coming from a Bank West or basket case supplier. And finally, approver 1 will be approving all those bills that are created by myself, by Konstantin. Why not, right? That is one of the ways how to configure the matrix. Of course, you could simplify it. So you could say, well, I don't need this additional criteria. This will be just purely based on the region. Approver 1 is in charge of East Side, approver 2 is in charge of North and South, and myself, Konstantin, I will be in charge of West Coast, right? Why not? Approval matrix is defined for each step. And for example, in the second step, I have a little bit different matrix. It is saying that all those bills that exceed 5,000, they will need to go to the CFO for approval. And this will be happening only after a bill is authorized by the region manager. So it's a sequential thing. And finally, we have Chief Executive Officer approval. At least that's what I have configured in this demo company. And Chief Executive Officer will be involved if a bill exceeds 100,000. That's how it works. Let me actually briefly show you how bills could be pushed via Receipt Bank. And let me open Receipt Bank interface. And in Receipt Bank, it is all quite straightforward, to be honest. First of all, you need to connect Receipt Bank to ApprovalMax, and it is done exactly as you connect Receipt Bank to Xero, right? You just need to select another button that is saying ApprovalMax for Xero. Then you upload documents, and those documents that are published, they will be going, well, now not to Xero, but to ApprovalMax. And I have done such procedure before this demonstration. I have posted this bill from Quiz to ApprovalMax, and well, we will now see this bill published in ApprovalMax. And by the way, there is a good time to switch to how approvers work in ApprovalMax. Approvers in ApprovalMax, they have this decision required list in which they see all those bills and purchase orders and maybe other documents that they need to authorize. They will not see any other documents besides those that they need to approve, which is quite important, right? Because, well, if you compare it to Xero, in Xero, if you as a user have access to bills area, you will see all the bills, right? In ApprovalMax, it's not the case. If you are in charge of North region, you will see only those bills related to North region. And that's the bill that we have taken a look at in Receipt Bank from Quiz. And this is the Receipt Bank who did the job, extracting all this data, supplier name, reference, and all the details. So Receipt Bank was doing a very good job here. And you can actually click here in the files area, and you can compare original supplier invoice with the supplier invoice as it has been processed by Receipt Bank and how as it appears in ApprovalMax. So finally, what approvers do, they click either approve or reject button. If they click approve button, then, well, it depends on the workflow. This particular bill could go to the next step if it is matching the rules for the next step, for the next approver to be involved, or it could go straight to ApprovalMax, straight to Xero, and be created in Xero as awaiting payment bill, or in case we're talking about a paid bill, it will go straight to the paid area in Xero. That is how we now support this paid bills scenario. Well, that's it for the demo part. I hope it was useful in giving you a good idea of how ApprovalMax actually looks like and works. And let me switch to my presentation and show you a couple more slides. And then we'll be switching to the Q&A area. I do see a number of questions in the Q&A area, which is very, very good. I'm happy when there are questions. So yeah, let me show a couple of things and then switch to the Q&A area. First of all, we have partner program for accounting and bookkeeping practices, and you are entitled for a number of very nice benefits as a part of this program. You will be getting trainings, you will be getting a dedicated account manager, you will be getting priority support, and that's the point that I like a lot, you're getting a free ApprovalMax license for your own practice. So it means that you could be using ApprovalMax internally for your own accounting practice completely for free. And also, of course, we have discounts for you as our partner. So you're very welcome to actually sign up for our partner program. Just go to partner@approvalmax.com. You can just type it in the browser or click on this link when you receive a PDF version of the slide deck and become our partner. Finally, Q&A part. I see lots of questions coming, and let me start with those that I see here. Okay, the first question is, does it integrate with HubDoc as it does with Receipt Bank? Well, we do not integrate with HubDoc directly. We don't integrate with it as we do with Receipt Bank, at least yet. But it is perfectly fine to use HubDoc with ApprovalMax in this classic solution, where ApprovalMax is picking up bills from Xero. I have switched currently to the slide that illustrates the idea, and HubDoc is here, as you see. it works perfectly fine. It's not a direct integration, but it is kind of integration via Xero, if it makes sense. Good. I think I have seen another question in chat here. Okay, the question is, can we match bill to a purchase order in ApprovalMax with the new receipt bank workflow? Yes, that is perfectly possible to do. Whatever the source of a bill is, it could be matched to a purchase order that is in ApprovalMax. The general rule is that purchase order should be fully approved, right? And a bill should be not yet fully approved, right? So you're matching bill to a fully approved purchase order. In ApprovalMax, well, since we're talking about matching, let me mention that ApprovalMax calculates purchase order balance. It could be happening from time to time that for a particular purchase order, you have, say, 2 or 3 or maybe even more bills. And ApprovalMax knows that, well, amount of the PO is 10,000, and there are, say, 3 bills, 1,000 each, and, well, it means that you have 7,000 left, right? I hope I'm doing the math correctly. So you get the idea, right? And you can actually even see the purchase order balance in the reporting area. So you can build a report asking ApprovalMax to show you all those purchase orders that are approved, not yet fully billed, and ask ApprovalMax to show what is the purchase order balance. That is quite important for accrual, right? So you can see which, what are the expenses that are going to hit you soon. The next question is the receipt bank integration out of beta now, and we will all get it on subscription? Well, that's a good question. I like it because I have a good answer for it. So ApprovalMax receipt bank integration was for some time in so-called private beta. So it was enabled upon request. Currently, we are past this stage, and it is working quite fine. We have received lots of good feedback. And we have now moved to the public beta stage. So it means that you don't need to ping us, you don't need to ping receipt bank, you can just go to receipt bank, connect it to ApprovalMax, and it will be working perfectly fine. It still has this beta tag for some time, and well, we'll be removing it after some time, but actually it is already fully available. So if you would like to give it a try, you can easily do that. Good. Then I'm switching to the Q&A part. The first question is, if ApprovalMax is used for approving bills in Xero, does it stop bills being manually approved directly in Xero? Can someone get around the ApprovalMax system and simply do approval in Xero? Well, that's also a very good question. Well, the first part of the answer is, unfortunately, we cannot prevent this from happening. So if a particular user has access to Xero, they can approve bill in Xero. We cannot interfere into the logics of Xero. That's the first part. The second part is that ApprovalMax helps to avoid such cases and helps to detect direct approvals in Xero. So as I have mentioned, approvers, they don't need to have access to Xero. It basically means that you can just remove all the people who do not need to have actually access to the financial information, just completely remove them from Xero. And the second part of the second part is that we detect certain situations, we detect the situations, we detect the case when a bill is approved directly in Xero, and we notify the administrator. So since we cannot do anything about stopping this from happening, we just notify the administrator saying, well, this thing happened. Someone, or specifically, well, actually, you'll check this in Xero. This particular bill has been approved in Xero, and you'll need to check, well, whether it is a good situation or not that good situation. Good. Okay, then moving to the next question. The next question is, if the invoice has not been approved in the month of the issue, but has been registered on ApprovalMax, what period will it go into Xero? The date of the invoice, the date registered, or the date approved? That is also a very good question. Well, a little bit of a background. In Xero, as you know, I think there is a log date feature. With the log date feature, you can say that, well, this period, this financial period is over. And let us say, well, today we have October. Let us say that our financial period is ending at the end of the October. Why not? And let's imagine that this is already November. And then a bill arrives that has a date of October 1st. And the question is, well, what should be happening in this situation? And ApprovalMax has two ways of how we handle this situation. The first one is we could behave as Xero does. We could say, sorry, this bill cannot be approved because it is dated, it has a date before the log date. That's the first option. The second option that lots of our clients are using, it is possible to automatically move this bill to the next period. It is called, well, we call it log date plus one feature, and it means that once it is enabled, a bill will get the date of November 1st upon approval. So it's the next date after the log date. And it is used quite a lot by our clients, so I suggest you take a look into this one. It could be quite handy. The next question is, you create a purchase order in ApprovalMax. This gets pushed to Xero. You send it to your supplier and receive an invoice. You capture the invoice in HubDoc, push it to Xero waiting approval, and then approve in ApprovalMax. The Xero invoice gets approved. At what stage does the Xero PO get marked as invoiced, or is it a manual process? And does it differ in case you use receipt bank? Well, very, very well formulated. So first of all, the flow that you have described is absolutely correct. You match bills to purchase orders, and then there is a separate thing that is called marking of a purchase order as fully billed, right? Currently, it's a manual thing. It means that you need to go on a purchase order and click a separate button that is called mark this purchase order as fully billed. And this is linked to Xero data. It means that if you click this in ApprovalMax, it will be synced to Xero. If you click it in Xero, it is synced to ApprovalMax. Currently, it's not automated, but the good news is that right now we are working on some enhancements to the matching functionality, and automated marking of a purchase order as fully billed upon approval of a matched bill is a part of this thing. So we'll be just saving some time. And if we see that, well, a bill is fully completely matching the purchase order, numbers match, suppliers match, everything is matching, and a bill is approved, well, it makes sense to mark a purchase order as fully billed. That is something that we have, that we're currently working on. So it will be coming. Thanks for asking, by the way. And yeah, second part of the question, does it differ in case of the receipt bank? It's all the same, right? So the source of bill in this case is not affecting the process at all. The next question is, what if we don't use receipt bank but use Xero? Will ApprovalMax usable in this scenario? Yes, that's perfectly fine. Actually, you could be using any other data entry tool. For example, one of those that you currently see on the screen. It could be auto entry, it could be Data Marina, it could be HubDoc, Easy Bills, or some other tool. And ApprovalMax could be picking up bills that they are pushing into Xero. That's one option. And the second option is that you could be creating bills in Xero manually. Why not? Or you could be just copying purchase orders into bills. That's also perfectly possible. And finally, you could be creating bills in ApprovalMax. Why not? So receipt bank is not a mandatory thing to have. It's a very nice feature, but it's not mandatory to use receipt bank in order to get benefits of ApprovalMax. The next question is, can ApprovalMax use for charge for claim purpose? Well, let me try to think about it. For claim purpose. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure what is the specific thing about claims here. Is it about expenses? Well, if it is about expenses, why not? Actually, we do have lots of clients from the NFP sector, and specifically from churches. We have a large client in the US. Actually, we do have clients in the UK who are using ApprovalMax for churches. And they could be actually creating bills in ApprovalMax. Why not, right? That is perfectly perfectly possible to do. I hope I got the question correctly. Sorry about that. The next question is, how do I select specific invoices to be paid instead of approving all invoices for payment every time it is published? One sec. How do I select specific invoices to be paid instead of approving all invoices? Okay, that's also a very good question. So we see that there are kind of two parts in the process. There is bill approval part, and there is payment approval part. And during the bill approval part, approvers basically confirm that the bill itself is okay. It's not a duplicate, it's not a fraud, goods are okay, services are okay, it's a good to pay bill. But release of the money it is kind of a little bit separate thing. So when the payment release is happening, someone, well, it could be a P person, or I don't know, it depends on the organization, they are looking at the list of bills that are already fully approved in the first part of the process. They're saying, okay, out of these 125 bills, we want to pay this 37 because they need to be paid now. So it's a financial decision based on the cash flow, based on your agreements with different suppliers. So in other words, we do not consider bill approval to be actually approval for money release, right? It's a little bit different thing. So actually in ApprovalMax, there is a standalone workflow, and some of our clients, they are using this standalone workflow to have approval workflow for this payment release, for money being actually sent from the bank account. I hope this helps with this question. The next question is, can payment dates be adjusted by the approver? Well, since we, that's by the way related to the previous question, since we separate these two things like bill approval from payment approval, we do not provide approvers with the ability to adjust dates. And this is something that is done in Xero. So how it's typically happening? Well, as far as we see, a AP person is looking at these bills in Xero. They see all those approved bills. They see audit reports by ApprovalMax, which is nice. And they set payment dates for these bills, saying, okay, these particular bills I want to pay this Friday. And these bills I will pay next Friday after we receive payment from our client, for example, something like this. It's not currently part of the approval process. The next question is, can ApprovalMax connect to HotDog? Well, we have discussed this, not directly, but it is perfectly possible to use HotDog, Xero, and ApprovalMax in a joint flow, as you can see currently on the slide. The next question is, employee expense reports on a sheet bank works the same way as invoices. Well, let me provide a little bit of a technical background. So what ApprovalMax is doing, we are accepting bill type of documents from either a sheet bank or from Xero. So if you push this expense report as a bill, and I know that many clients are doing it exactly this way, then it works exactly the same as for supplier invoices, right? I hope this answers the question. The next one is, does ApprovalMax integrate with released? How does it interact? Well, we have received a number of inquiries for that. We do not currently have a direct integration with them. And well, we will need to dig into the particular scenario. So Charlotte, if you'd like us to dig into this, we're very happy to do so. Let's get in touch and see how ApprovalMax can help in a particular scenario. The next question is, what is the sync frequency between the receipt bank and ApprovalMax? Well, if we're talking about direct integration, let me switch to it one sec, about this one, it is happening, well, almost instantly, right? It's seconds. So you click this publish button in receipt bank, and almost instantly it is already in ApprovalMax. Pretty much as it works with Xero, right? You click it and it arrives there. Of course, there is a time that receipt bank requires to do the processing to extract the data, but well, that's receipt bank part. Different bills, as far as I understand, they could take different time to be processed. But as soon as it's ready and the button is clicked or it is triggered somehow, this push thing, then we receive it immediately. The next question is, via Xero, can you pull a bill as draft, complete approvals, then post back to Xero as to be paid while it's removing the bill showing as draft in Xero? Well, it works a little bit differently. So we do not pick drafts from Xero for one reason. If we would pick bills from draft, it means that, well, we could be running at the situation when it is not 100% sure should we have done it or not. I mean, if a bill is in draft, it could be a bill that is actually already waiting for approval, or it could be actually really a draft, right? So thus it should not be already getting full into the approval process. So we do not pick drafts, we pick awaiting approval bills, but it's not like we create another bill when it is fully approved. We just move this bill from awaiting approval to awaiting payment. So, well, you can say it is kind of removing it from awaiting approval and putting it to awaiting payment. So there is no risk of duplicates. ApprovalMax with released, currently, unfortunately, we do not have this integration. yeah, let us have a chat, Ken, if you'd like, and we will see how ApprovalMax could help in the scenario that you have in mind. The next question is it possible to integrate Salesforce with ApprovalMax? Well, that's a good topic. Currently, we don't have such integration. Well, I am guessing that it might be on the accounts receivable side rather than on the accounts payable side. Susan, well, let's also have a chat about this particular case. We currently do not have this integration, but we're of course open to chat about that and see if there is something that we can help you with. The next question is, if we have an approved purchase order in ApprovalMax and then the bill comes into ApprovalMax via receipt bank, do we match purchase order with the bill in ApprovalMax and then send it to Xero? Yeah, that's how it works. You have a purchase order in ApprovalMax that is already fully approved. You receive an invoice that is coming from receipt bank. You match them. You match bill coming from receipt bank with the purchase order already sitting in ApprovalMax. And then a bill is pushed to Xero upon final approval. Yeah, that's how it works. The next question is, does ApprovalMax work with the Business Plus plan on receipt bank? I can seem to find it on the available integrations. Well, it should be there. I'll double check in regards to the plans. Well, to be honest, my understanding was that it is available in all the plans. That was the idea. If you are saying that even after page refresh, it is not available in the list of integrations, well, that's strange, right? Well, we will need to check that. The icon that that is available there, it is saying ApprovalMax, our logo, for Xero and Xero logo in below it, right? So it's ApprovalMax for Xero. Yeah, let us know if you don't see it there. We will take a look into this. The next question is, how do you track partially billed purchase orders on ApprovalMax? Well, let us back to this matching question. If a purchase order, if a bill that you receive is not covering the purchase order completely, for example, purchase order was for 1,000 and a bill is for 500, right? You still match bill to a purchase order, and ApprovalMax will calculate the purchase order balance. It will notify that, well, looks like the purchase order amount exceeds, well, I will put it differently. Bill amount does not exceed the purchase order amount, and the remaining balance is 500. Well, answering another potential question here, is it still possible to mark a purchase order as fully billed? Yes, it's possible to do that. So if you receive a bill for just 500 out of 1,000, and you're saying, well, actually, we're not going to receive anything else, and yeah, that was some kind of miscommunication, miscoordination, price change. Lots of things could happen here. You just match it, click a purchase order as fully billed, and that's it. Thanks for asking. The next question is, what is the level of discount I can offer my clients as an accountancy practice? I like this question. You're very welcome to get in touch with our staff, and it is available as a part of our partner program. So you're actually very welcome to sign up to our program at partner.approvalmax.com, and yeah, you will see the pricing there, or you can actually get in touch and we'll just send you the price list with the level of discounts that you will get. The next question is, what if the bill contains multiple line items? Does the receipt bank capable of pushing the multiple line items to ApprovalMax? Well, let me answer it from a little bit different standpoint. We are happy to accept bills with multiple line items, right? And it is part of receipt bank, whether they push it with one line item or with multiple line items. So we perfectly support multiple line items, and that is actually quite a typical case. You could actually have line items related to different departments, and we have cases where different approvers need to approve a bill because, well, it is affecting both departments. So we perfectly support multiple line items. The next question is, can you please give a demo of how to select two invoices to be paid utilizing ApprovalMax workflow? Two invoices to be paid. Well, it's already a part of this payment approval workflow, and it is about using the standalone part. Well, it's not quite a part of this particular demonstration because it, pushes us into a little bit different area. Michael, let's agree to the following. We can agree to this. We can get in touch after this demonstration, and we're happy to show you standalone workflows. and how it could be used for the payment approval. I hope it works for you. The next question is, you have an approved purchase order in ApprovalMax for say £100. The bill arrives and it is 101. Will it match up okay, or will the bill be rejected because it exceeds the purchase order value? Well, first of all, it will be a judgment of the approver. So approver will see that, well, bill exceeds purchase order, and by default, it is their decision. They could say, that's fine, right? It's just £1, that doesn't matter, and they could approve it. But at the same time, in ApprovalMax, there is a setting. So if you want to make it a more strict process, I would say, if you do not want to have any bill approved, if it exceeds a purchase order amount, you can do that. In the settings area, there are 2 additional settings, and one of them is saying, do not allow approval of a bill if it exceeds purchase order. The second one, by the way, is saying, do not allow of a bill if it is not matched to a purchase order at all. So you can make it very strict. First of all, do not approve without matching, and do not approve without with amount of the bill exceeding amount of the purchase order. By default, it works in a kind of relaxed mode. Good. Well, I think we have answered all the 21 questions. Thanks a lot for asking all these questions, and really I enjoyed answering them because they are very, very interesting. And well, there is another one coming into the chat area. Is the receipt bank integration out of beta now? Well, yeah, I have answered it. It is in the public beta. Yes, and the next question is about the recording. Sure, we will share the recording with you. I hope the first part where the internet was down a little bit, it will be still okay, but anyway, it was introduction part. The most interesting part was already on a good internet connection. So yes, you will be getting the recording, you will be getting the slides that I have demoed to you. And well, if you are interested in getting more information about ApprovalMax, let us know, get in touch, and we are always very, very happy to chat with you about ApprovalMax. Well, thanks a lot for joining the webinar. I hope it was useful for you. And stay safe and have a great day. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.